So what in the world is going on at the Justice Department? Did someone high up at Justice authorize the use of our taxpayer money to arm Mexican drug cartels, the same cartels that have been murdering people, and with guns we paid for? It sounds absolutely impossible. Hang on to your seat. Here's Senator Chuck Grassley going on the record. Senator, nice to see you, sir.
Yeah, glad to be with you, Greta.
All right, Senator, we've been talking about the Fast and Furious operation, but I understand there is another operation that the Senate is looking at. Is that correct?
Yes, it's hard to distinguish between the two, but evidence has come out that the orders came down from Justice that our agents were supposed to take taxpayers' money, buy guns that shouldn't have been sold, get them to the underworld. The sale was made to the underworld. It happens to be that in this particular case, the federal government made a little bit of money, but that's not the main issue. The main issue is that you would think that they would arrest the people that bought them illegally. No, they were told to just follow the guns. They followed the guns to a storehouse. They would not have 24-hour surveillance, except for one of the agents decided to stay there 6 days, and I don't know when, but anyway, a truck came along to load up the guns. They called for help that they ought to arrest them in the process of transferring the guns, but they wouldn't send anybody to arrest them, so the guns got someplace, maybe over the border, and they were never traced, which was the purpose of the operation in the first place.
All right, now the first question I have when I'm looking through all these materials, and I've got copies of documents, there is one letter from the Justice Department dated February 4th of this year in which it says, at the outset, the allegation described in your January 27th letter, Senator, that the ATF sanctioned or otherwise knowingly allowed the sale of assault weapons to a straw purchaser who then transported them into Mexico is false. Is that a false statement from the Department of Justice?
It is a false statement from the Department of Justice because they knew about this. I made reference to this in my first letter, as they indicated, and the order came directly to an ATF agent to make the sale. He had the money to make the sale. He bought the guns. He transferred them to another person of the underworld. That other person actually paid more for the guns than what the taxpayers paid to buy the guns in the first place. And then they went to a storehouse. So so everything else is, as I said, which means that the Justice Department is misleading in their answer to me.
All right, you say misleading. I mean, is that just a polite way to say that they're lying? Because let me read on in this letter, because, I mean, I actually have the documents. I mean, it goes on to the letter saying this. I also want to assure you, meaning you, sir, that the ATF has made no attempt to retaliate against any of its agents regarding this matter. Then I have an email from a supervising ATF agent, David Voth, in which he's talking about how, how you better be having fun or you're going to go from $100,000 a year, you're going to work for the sheriff for $30,000, which is one of the most covert or maybe even overt ways to say you better get on board or you're going to be working someplace else. Is that a misleading statement by the Justice Department lawyer, or is that a lie? Or is that the truth?
It's a lie. It's a lie. And just to make things clear for your listeners, the ATF ordered this ATF agent to purchase these guns and in turn sell them and supposedly track them. But he was a lone wolf in the operation. They wouldn't give him any help for 24-hour surveillance. When there was going to be a transfer of guns, when a truck pulled up to get the guns, he asked for help, send somebody to do the arrest. Nobody came. So what was the purpose of it? Maybe it was just to make the ATF agent look bad. At least there's one quote from people within the office that said that they wanted to dirty up the agent, in a sense, like you said along your letter. They were threatening him. Did he want a job with the ATF or did he want a lower paying job with the sheriff? And it's all a matter of intimidation and not wanting to have anything to do with a bad judgment that was made up here in Washington, D.C.
Which is actually, there are two issues. One is the operation itself. But as I look through these letters, it looks like it goes right up the chain. And I'm curious, two things. One is, how high up in the Justice Department does this go? And number two, is the Justice Department really cooperating with you? When I see this letter from this Assistant Attorney General and you're telling me lies, I don't see that as cooperation.
Well, not only that, but since I had the agreement with the Attorney General about 3 months ago that we would get the documents we wanted, all the documents that we have are from the ATF. We're requesting documents for the last 2.5 months from the Attorney General. We have not gotten those documents. Last week we made a telephone call to Justice when we were going to get them. Well, the computer crashed. Well, did a computer crash or not? Or are they dragging their feet and stonewalling like they ought to do? And then another thing is to question the veracity of the Attorney General. In his agreement with me, he says, if you've got any problems whatsoever with this agreement that we had, that we would furnish the documents for you, just call my Chief of Staff. Well, every time we call the Chief of Staff, we get down the chain of command about 3 positions to somebody that we deal with on a regular basis, but it's not quite cutting through the red tape that you'd expect when the Attorney General promises you that if you have any problems with the agreement that we had between Senator Grassley and the Attorney General, just call my Chief of Staff. Well, call the Chief of Staff and it doesn't do any good.
All right, we only have about 30 seconds left, so tell me, do you consider this just bureaucracy and red tape, or is it incompetence, or is there something sinister going on at Justice?
There's something sinister going on because they want to do everything they can to avoid this issue. They want to string us along. They want to stonewall us, and we're not getting the cooperation that I was promised when I let the Deputy Attorney General go to confirmation in the United States Senate, which was a lever that I used to get the agreement with the Attorney General.
Are you going to give up?
No, of course we're not going to give up. You know, working on my own as a Senate investigator, working with Congressman Issa, who's going to have a couple more hearings on this, we're going to keep on it till we get to the bottom of it. We're going to find out who gave the approval for this Fast and Furious and hopefully get that person fired. And secondly, we want to make sure that no stupid program like this is ever done by any bureaucracy in the federal government at all. A program that led to the murder of Brian Terry, a patrol agent, with probably with one of the guns that was sold.
Looking at the documents you have, how high are you suspicious this went up to within Justice?
I don't know for sure, but it wouldn't surprise me if it goes to the top. And secondly, it wouldn't surprise me if somebody in the White House didn't know about it, because we have 3 emails from national security people in the White House that show that they had communication with people down connected with Fast and Furious down in Arizona.
Senator, thank you, sir.